Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Nap Bros podcast. And as you can see, my brother is not here, so you just have me. Not that I intended to rhyme that, but that happens. I'm going to try and get this in one fell swoop. I'm going to try and make it to where I don't have to do any editing. That is the hope. That is the prayer. And I also have to make sure that I look at the camera and I don't look down at myself, even though it's very difficult to do that. Before we get into the podcast, please make sure that you subscribe, click the bell, that way you're notified when we are posting things. If you're listening on your podcasting app, subscribe, leave us a review, that way it can be broadcast to everybody. Would love to hear your comments, would love to hear your own stories of things that you may have done when you were younger. Also, a little disclaimer, I am wearing this workout shirt. It's because I worked out a few hours ago and I didn't change, okay? Because I'm lazy. So what? Okay. That being said, today is going to be a very lively day. It's just going to be a short little podcast, a short little thing, and it's just going to be a story time. And I was thinking like it would be fun to do some more story times with Andrew when he comes back and just be able to tell you guys about certain things that he and I did when we were younger, things that we would get into, the trouble that we would cause, the trouble that we would get into, not because of anything that we did, but just because other people were at fault. Anyway, without any further ado, this story doesn't really involve Andrew as much, even though he is a minor character in this story. But this is a story of when we were younger. So, a couple of things just for you to know. When we were younger, our parents were kind of adamant, and I'm thinking it's just because we were fat, but our parents were kind of adamant about getting us into sports. However, the only sports we were actually involved in were basketball and baseball. Now, baseball was when we were... Actually, no, basketball, we started basketball when we were probably the youngest, probably around 8 or 9. And then baseball, I believe we got into around the ages of like 11 and 12, 13, somewhere in there. And so this particular story revolves around a baseball bat. Now, it's interesting because we were into sports, and even now, to be honest, like both my brother and I, if you ask us what our favorite sport is, it's going to be American football. Now, my brother may have a different favorite sport just because his children play different things. And when I have children, I'm sure that whatever sport they decide that they want to play, I will fall in love with. But for the current time, American football is the sport that I love, that we love, and we talk about, and we're involved in to the max. So it's kind of interesting that as children, we never really played it. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, my brother actually never played American football, except for maybe flag football or maybe just like backyard football. Yeah, that's actually something that I'll have to ask him about and quiz him about why he likes American football so much. I played it in my final year of high school. But I digress. This story revolves around a baseball bat. Now, we would play throw and catch between the both of us, Andrew and I. We would play throw and catch with our dad. Mom, not so much. She wasn't really big into it. But we had, and I don't remember if it was because we didn't really have like a ton of money to be able to go out and buy like brand new bats all the time. Or not all the time, but like I think we bought, when we were into baseball, I think we had one brand new bat, and then we had like 2 or 3, like, well, I guess you could call them like junker bats. And this particular story revolves around one of those bats. One of those bats was aluminum, and it made a great noise when you would hit baseballs with it. But it would also make a great noise when you would hit other things with it. And I'm pretty sure my brother and I tested this bat on a myriad of things. Whether it would be a tree, whether it would be bees, although those were very difficult to hit, whether it would be rocks, fences. We never tried it on cars because that would actually cause like true damage to the car, and then we would end up having to pay. We were not interested in that. We would test them out as golf clubs on soccer balls or basketballs. And so we tested this bat out on everything. Now, this particular bat had a very special kind of dent in it. It had a multitude of dents, but there was one dent that happened to be, I would say it's about a baseball size. Where this dent came from, I'm not 100% sure. It could have been from a baseball, possibly. It could have been that we bought the bat with the dent in it, just as a practice bat. Nothing really to be used otherwise, other than just to be used in practice. So we have this bat, and we would use it for practice. We would use it for hitting random things. And so, yeah. So we're gonna put that baseball bat aside. It'll tie back in. Trust me. We're gonna set it aside. That's a very important asset, a very important character in this story. A little bit about my brother and I. My brother and I are 21 months apart. I am 21 months his senior. So he is, even though he's in his 30s, he is still my baby brother. Now, with that being the case, being the fact that we are so close in age, and also, just in case you haven't noticed, we kind of look similar. Although I will admit, I got the more beautiful side of things, and he got more the brain side of things. So that's kind of with the delineation there. Well, he's in the engineering thing, so he's got a big brain. I'm in the English side, so I've got more of the creative flair. But that being said, we would fight constantly, as you can imagine, young brothers, especially brothers who are very close in age. We would fight constantly. Now, I, as a big brother, will never admit that my brother is better at fighting than me. But I have to admit, he is better at fighting than me. Whether it was with rules, and if you don't know what fighting with rules means, it just means like if you're in like wrestling or if you're in like boxing or potentially even MMA, not that MMA was around when we were children, although what we did in our rooms and out in the yard could have been potentially MMA, especially with the trampoline. Sometimes we would do MMA style things. We were never into wrestling, never really did, never like WWE type wrestling. But my brother was like, he was in actual high school wrestling. And I will tell you, if we have those rules, he would definitely kick my butt. Even if there weren't rules, my brother would still kick my butt. I would never admit that, but it's true. That being said, our mother and our father always had ways of dealing with that. Our mother would always try and get us to stop. We would sometimes wrestle around with our dad, and our mother would also at times join in if it was just kind of like for play and stuff like that. But if we were actually fighting, my mother would generally try and stop us, threaten us with spankings or threaten us with groundings or threaten us with other things. Also, my mom is listening to this podcast. I guarantee it. And so she will attest to this, probably in the comments below. But generally, she would try and stop it. My dad, on the other hand, if Andrew and I had a problem with each other, he would send us out and give us boxing gloves, generally. Would give us boxing gloves if we had those, or would just say, take it outside. And that's a very famous phrase in our family when we were younger. Take it outside. Because he didn't want anything destroyed inside the house, which makes sense. But also, if you go outside and you're wailing on each other, you've got plenty of room to run, or in my case, plenty of room to run away from your brother who happens to be biting or punching or kicking you or hurting you in ways that you didn't realize you could get hurt. But I digress. So generally, they would be fine with, or dad would be okay with us fighting as long as it was outside and as long as there were some safety precautions like boxing gloves. Mom, on the other hand, was like, no fighting, not allowed. Now, we're bringing back in the baseball. You could probably take a guess or a gander as to how this is panning out, but it's not exactly what you think it is. This baseball bat has a special dent in it. Where this dent came from, I do not know. This dent happens to have the shape or size of a baseball bat, or in a particular creative mind and a particularly devious mind, it could potentially have the shape of your baby brother's skull. So, I decide that I am going to claim that I have hit my baby brother with this baseball bat. Now, am I going to tell my father? Absolutely not, for two reasons. Number one, he would probably shoot me on sight. Number two, he wasn't in the house. Number three, he isn't the one who's going to give me the best reaction. However, mom is in the house. She happens to be in the kitchen, which in this particular house, we had two kitchens. Like my parents were had a specific kind of job where they were taking care of other children besides my brother and me, children who had difficult families or weren't being raised by their families. So my parents were in charge of taking care of that. My mom is in the kitchen that is on that side of the building. And I say it's a building. It is a building, but it's like two separate like apartments. Like the apartment for us, our family, and then the apartment or the house, the room for the kids. Now, we would interact with them. Obviously, we would be around with them, but sometimes we would get time off and we would be separated. So anyway, my brother's room and my room is on one side of the building. The kitchen that my mother is in is on the other side of the building. Now, my brother has no idea that this is happening. And I don't even know if to this day he knows. He may. I don't know. We'll see. We'll go back. We'll check. But he was not in on this. So, Mom, if you happen to be listening, which I'm sure you are, Andrew wasn't really in on this. Okay. Now, that being said, I take this baseball bat. I walk into the kitchen. Now, again, I have a flair for the dramatic. I walk into the kitchen. My mother is there busy working over some pasta or working over some chicken nuggets or doing something that she's preparing meal, some kind of meal or washing dishes or something like that. And I walk up behind her and I look up at her and I say, Mom? Mom? She turns around. I point to the dent. I hate Andrew. To say someone becomes as white as a sheet of paper, or as white as a ghost, that's exactly how you would describe the color of my mother's face after I went and I said that. Now, realizing instantly that A, I have been successful in scaring the crap out of my mother, and also realizing that if I don't immediately tell her I am just joking, I can't take this much further, and I will probably end up dying at some point in time. She could potentially take the baseball bat and hit me. Probably not, but I don't want that to happen. So I immediately start laughing. I'm just joking. I said that. Now, here's the interesting thing. My memory goes blank after that. I do not remember exactly what happened. Could it be that I had successfully done something and that is forever ingrained in my brain and that's the only thing that really matters? Possibly. Could it also be that I got the beating of my life or something happened that I needed to block it out for traumatic purposes? That's probably more so along the lines. Again, not saying that my mother beats me often, but not saying that I didn't deserve a beating every once in a while. So, that's my story time. That is it for the story of the baseball bat and me pranking my mother through my dramatic personality into thinking that I, Nicholas, had finally defeated my brother with a baseball bat. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that story. It was an entertaining story to live through and also to block out of my memory. If you wouldn't mind, subscribe, click the bell. If you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button. If you like the story, leave us a comment in the comments below. Let us know what you did that were pranks on your parents when you were younger. If you are listening on your podcasting app, just subscribe and leave us a review. We would love for other people to find our podcast. I'm Nick. And as always, you have an open invitation to this conversation.